We're getting pretty close to the end of the year here, which means I'm going to start uploading some of my best of the year videos. This is going to be the first one, and this is going to be my favorite TV shows that I've watched this year. I'm only going to do my top 5 instead of my top 10 like I'm going to do with my movies. Just a few points of clarification before I start this video. These are not specifically shows that came out in 2021 necessarily, or even had like new seasons air in 2021. These are just 5 shows that I watched this year, whether it was me discovering them for the first time, or maybe I had watched a couple seasons and just was getting caught up. But these are just straight up my 5 favorite TV shows I've watched this year, with them coming out in this year or not being totally irrelevant. I'm also not going to go in any order, like number 5 is not my 5th favorite, although I will say the last TV show I'm going to talk about was probably my favorite of the year. First up on my list is Loki. I already did a review on Loki, so I'm just going to keep this pretty brief. I like that this show kind of broke the Marvel mold in terms of not having the last act of this show being a big CGI action scene. I really appreciated that the last episode was pretty much just the characters talking about the multiverse and educating the audience. And I thought that was a good change on the mold, like I said, from what Marvel normally does. And I really appreciated it. I thought that this show had a good combination of kind of a mystery in terms of the plot, but also me just being able to enjoy what was going on, on screen at the time. It was a good combination of kind of dropping hints as to what's coming, but also just being engaging on its own. And I think this was my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show because of its significance and what it sets up for the future. So Loki was a great show. I'm really excited for season 2 to come out whenever it ends up coming out. Next on my list is What We Do in the Shadows. This airs on Hulu. I watched seasons 1 and 2 at the beginning of this year, and then season 3 came out about end of August and kind of like through the fall months, and so I watched that pretty much as it aired. If you're not familiar with What We Do in the Shadows, it's a mockumentary style show that's based on a movie that's the same kind of plot of a group of vampires that are sharing a home, and like I said, it's a mockumentary, which is already one of my favorite kind of styles of storytelling. If you've ever seen like The Office or Parks and Rec, that's kind of what I'm talking about. But it's also based on and based in like an English or Australian or New Zealand type of humor, which is a little bit more dry, which is the type of humor that I gravitate towards. So there was a lot for me to like about this show. If you haven't watched it, it's streaming on Hulu. There's only 3 seasons and they're all about 13 episodes, I think. So if you haven't seen it, I would give it a watch. The next show that I watched this year that I really enjoyed was True Detective Season 3. I have seen True Detective Season 1 twice, which in my opinion, the first season of True Detective is one of the best seasons of television ever created. If you have HBO Max, I would highly suggest watching it. Season 2 of True Detective was not as great. It wasn't bad. I haven't watched it in like 6 years, so I'm interested to see if I watched it again now, what my thoughts would be. If you're not familiar with True Detective, it is an anthology series, so each season is a totally independent plot. You don't have to have seen any of the other seasons to watch the subsequent ones. Season 3 aired in 2019, and I'm not really sure why I never got around to watching it until just now, but I really enjoyed it. The way that this story is told is very intriguing. It's told in 3 separate time periods, so things will be alluded to in like the future timeline that we get to see filled in later in all of its details in the past. And so I really like how it's kind of like a cyclical form of storytelling instead of just straightforward. Mahershala Ali plays basically 3 versions of the same character, and he's already an awesome actor, and it was really cool to see him play 3 different versions of the same character. I think he got nominated for either an Emmy or a Golden Globe, which I think he thoroughly deserved. This season is not nearly as good as season 1, but it's definitely better than season 2. I would say closer in quality to season 1 than season 2. Another show that I watched this year that I'm really excited to see more of is Invincible. Now, Invincible only had the 1 season so far. It came out, I want to say it was like maybe February or March or April, earlier in the springtime. And there's a lot to like about this show. I never read the comics, so I wasn't familiar with the source material. I've seen a lot of, and I've heard a lot of people compare it to The Boys in terms of it being roughly about superheroes, but also like hyper violent, and Invincible just happens to be animated. Sure, I do see the similarities. Invincible doesn't have as much to say about, like, it's less of a commentary on society and more of just like a story about a young kid, getting superpowers and the pressure he feels from his dad being like this world's version of Superman. It's really more of just a family story, and it has less to say kind of less of a social commentary, which doesn't work for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. I also related really well to the father-son dynamic going on in this show. Me being a son and having a father. There's a scene or a series of scenes in the last episode of this show that really kind of got to me, just because I can relate to it. Like I said, there's only one season of Invincible so far, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have to do with it in the future. The last show I'd like to talk about is not a show I ever anticipated enjoying or ever even watching. And now, after I say the title, I do have to do a little bit of kind of mansplaining to explain my connection to the show. And this is probably my favorite show I've watched all year, and maybe one of my favorite shows of all time, if I'm being totally honest, and that is Ted Lasso. Now, I need to take you all the way back to the year 2013 when NBC acquired the TV rights to air Premier League games, the English Premier League games. They created this commercial starring Jason Sudeikis as this American coach, Ted Lasso, who was hired to become the head coach of the Tottenham Hotspurs, which is his way of saying Tottenham Hotspur, which just happened to be and still is my favorite soccer team. And I thought it was really cool that that would be the team that they picked to kind of be the one that they use to expose America to the sport of soccer, and to have Jason Sudeikis kind of be the proxy for America in getting to know the oddities and the intricacies of soccer. So in that regard, I've always had kind of a personal connection to the character of Ted Lasso. When I heard that they were making a full-length scripted show on it, I had two thoughts. The first is that I'm never going to watch it because it's going to be on Apple TV, which I don't have. And the second is that I don't see how this is going to work. It just didn't seem like it would lend itself to kind of a longer form TV episode style. And boy, was I wrong. Like, I still feel like it shouldn't work. Ted Lasso is such kind of like a positive and like an optimistic person, and then you have like other characters in the show who are super like profane and they're swearing all the time, and the two shouldn't seem to mesh, but the tone of the show still manages to stay consistent, balancing both of those things. There's like really funny, really vulgar moments, but then every single character also has an arc that's really emotionally investing. You care about all the characters, whether they're kind of starting from a position of the audience not really liking them to kind of having some redemption, and then you have maybe one or two characters that you like at the beginning, but that kind of go the opposite direction. Regardless, every character has depth. Ted specifically, they give him more depth than they had in the initial commercial, which I thought was a good change to have. There's only been 2 seasons of Ted Lasso so far. The first one aired, I think, in the summer of 2020, and then the second season just came out a few months ago. I happened to watch kind of both back to back, so I binge watched all of them, and it's great. I can't wait to see what they do with season 3. So those are my top 5 favorite TV shows of 2021. Before I end this video, I do want to give a quick channel update. I started this channel in around this time last year because I wanted to find a creative outlet. I knew that I wanted to find a space to share my thoughts on movies and TV shows. For Christmas last year, I was also gifted a game capture card, which allowed me to record myself playing video games and then edit and post the footage. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that it's been a minute since I've recorded any sort of gameplay. I started back in December with a couple of Assassin's Creed videos, and then I did a few gameplays of this game called Cat Quest when I had my Nintendo DS. And then for a while, I didn't have any games that I was really interested in playing, until now when I've recently acquired, finally, a PlayStation 5, and I have games to play that I want to play. In that time, however, since I've last posted a gameplay video, this channel has become more specifically about me sharing my thoughts on movies and TV shows, which is awesome, and I do want to keep this space dedicated to that, but I also still want to have some fun playing some video games, which is why I've decided to start a second channel, and I just have a couple thoughts I want to share. I am under no way under the impression that I'm like a popular YouTuber. I think this channel, Adam Does, has maybe 21 subscribers. I know like I'm not in a position where I should feel like I should have a second channel. But I really just want to keep the two spaces separate. I want to have a space where people can come and listen to me talk about movies and TV shows if they want to, and then I don't want them to have to also deal with me posting videos about video games. So I do have a second channel. It is called Shy Silky Moon, and there is a story behind that, which I'm not going to explain. If you want to know, you can ask me in the comments or whatever. I will leave a link to that in the description down below. As of this recording, I currently have one video up there, although I do plan on editing and hopefully posting my second video that'll go live at the same time as this video, so by the time you go over there, there may be two videos. If not, the second one will be up. I am starting with the FIFA career mode. I'm playing with my favorite team, Tottenham Hotspur, which I just mentioned. I also plan on doing some NHL related videos as well. So if you're interested in watching me get angry at video games, head over to the Shy Silky Moon channel when you're done watching this video. Okay, so there it is, my favorite TV shows of 2021. I do plan on posting pretty soon my top 10 best and least best movies of the year. I also am hoping to get up one or two more specific reviews. I'm still watching Hawkeye, which I'll probably do a review on if I have time. And then the one that I'm really excited for is Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm hoping to be able to get a review up for that movie before the end of the year as well. But as always, thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to stay tuned for more.